standing next to the Kandalama lake, which is situated very close to the historic city of Dambulla. Now, beside me over that ridge lies a luxury hotel that has become synonymous with the lake and its setting. It's celebrated world over for its top-rate service and standout design, and has become somewhat of a monument in a landscape full of culture and heritage. Join me on this edition of Honeymoon Destinations as I visit Heritance Kandalama.
Over the years, Heritance Kandalama has become an attraction by itself for tourists exploring the cultural triangle. Designed by one of Sri Lanka's greatest architects, Geoffrey Bower, the hotel is a living example of the maestro's work. It overlooks a 4th century irrigation tank that sustains plenty of vegetation and wildlife, all of which adds to the splendor of the retreat. With magical scenery, a wide selection of rooms, and excellent fine dining options, it promises a memorable experience for honeymooners. The turnoff to Kandalama is just before you reach Dambulla on the A9 highway. It is a typical dry zone route flanked by shrub forests and paddy fields. As we drove through the dusty road, I could sense the buzz of the city disappearing behind me. A huge concrete ramp takes you 40 feet above the irrigation tank right up to the entrance. It actually looks like a mouth of a giant cave. In fact, the entire hotel is built on top of a rocky ridge. Ancient buildings in these parts were often built around natural elements like boulders and trees. Bower seems to have been inspired by this. Newly arrived guests are ushered to the Kanchan Lounge, an open terrace that looks out to the gleaming waters of the tank. On a clear day, you can even spot Sigiriya from here.
Originally, Heritance Kandalama was supposed to be built closer to the Sigiriya rock, but this site was chosen by none other than Geoffrey Bower himself. Instead of having everything in your face, he preferred to build a hotel from where you can sit back and imagine history as it was being played out centuries ago in this very landscape.
If you look directly from above, you can see how the hotel snakes along the path of the underlying rock. It also climbs up alongside the overhanging cliff in a series of asymmetrical terraces. They must have been inspired by King Kashyap's boulder gardens in Sigiriya. In fact, much of the hotel reflects traditional architecture. Wide spacious halls and high ceilings remind you of ancient monasteries and palaces. Furniture and ornamentation is minimal, leaving little to come between guests and the landscape. The journey to the room is one of the most unique. The black concrete frames the lush green outside. It feels like walking through an art gallery. You are never quite sure where the natural landscape ends and the hotel begins. From a distance, even the pools merge with the waters of the tank.
Interestingly, while under construction, Bower told the staff that the hotel will one day peep out from thick vegetation. Of course, it didn't make much sense back then, but cut to 20 years later and voila!
The hotel offers a range of suites for honeymooners. They're not as overly understated as the rest of the hotel. All of them come with private balconies with sliding glass doors. Handloom rugs add character to the space while complementing its rectilinear form. The nice blend of antique and modern furniture gives them a functional elegance. Bathrooms are very contemporary with a stylish and clutter-free layout. Its fine edges are softened by a healthy dose of dappled light that streams through the natural screen hung outside. My pick of the lot is this luxury suite on the 7th floor. It has multi-compartments in the form of a large living room, a clutter-free bedroom for intimacy, and a slate-tiled open terrace for private dining, with the most amazing sights and sounds wherever you choose to be. Attention to detail is a feature of Bauer's work. There is very little rain in these parts, so he has done away with the scaling roof. The natural canopy growing on the flat surface shelters the building from heat. The hotel is raised from the ground so that it doesn't block the flow of rainwater which feeds the tank. It also lets wild animals roam about freely. Heritance Kandalama proves that a hotel doesn't need to be small to go green. They make their own office stationery by recycling used paper. The hotel doesn't use any water from the lake, nor does it discharge anything into it. All wastewater is recycled and used for gardening. They even have a plant nursery and a herbarium. As dusk weaves its magic over the ancient land, a lavish buffet is being laid out at the main restaurant. This is the place to be if you want to try out some signature Heritance cuisine that spans all corners of the world. For something a little more intimate, head up to the Kaladia fine dining restaurant, where you can enjoy a la carte delights in a more refined setting.
Heritance Kandalama is all about staying in touch with the natural environment, even while enjoying 5-star comfort. So, instead of dining at the restaurant, I thought I'll try something that truly does live up to the idea of blurring the boundaries between the natural and the man-made world.
The rocky ridge that rises behind the hotel forms the most amazing natural cave. In olden days, it had been a hermitage and still has an ethereal vibe to it. At nightfall, it becomes a mesmerizing setting for an unforgettable dining experience. The trembling flames of the lanterns bring the silent walls into life. They speak of a time when this cave may have sheltered a world-weary hermit or a fugitive prince wandering through his kingdom.
As sensational as it sounds, it also gives you a feeling of longing or a melancholy for the lost grandeur of our past. I guess you can say I'm a hopeless romantic. There's plenty to explore around here if you're up for trekking or cycling, but if the whole wedding tamasha has sapped your drive for energy, there's still a way to experience the outdoors without flexing a muscle.
The best way to explore without overexerting yourself is to try the lake safari on the Angula.
This is a great way to go on a lake safari if you're worried about your carbon footprint. There are no motors, no engines involved here. All it takes is a strong pair of arms.
The massive irrigation tank that borders the hotel is the jewel of Heritance Kandalama. There are different theories as to who actually built it, but it is commonly traced back to the Anuradhapura period, the golden age of the island's hydraulic civilization. What a perfect way to round off my stay here.
A pampering 5-star hotel may be too much of a cliche for a honeymoon, but the breathtaking location, quality of service, And the very design of the hotel put Heritance Kandalama in a league of its own. If you enjoy outdoor adventure and sightseeing and don't want to give it up in order to immerse yourself in luxury, the hotel offers the best of both worlds. Stay here at least for 3 nights in order to explore its many wonders while celebrating your romance.